Hey everyone, Sirturmund here again, and today we're going back to use some classic Elise Spider Burn. And the reason that I'm bringing you this deck today is because I was looking at like the data in Runeterra AR, and actually this deck literally has the highest win rate across all ranks, according to Runeterra AR. And there's good reason for it, right? This aggro deck is able to overwhelm a lot of the things that are currently popular in the meta. Things like Kai'Sa lose very often to this deck. Now, you do have to play around stuff like the Radiant Guardian, right? But for the most part, you're able to kind of overwhelm them before they can actually stabilize on turn 5 or turn 6. And that's one of the reasons why this deck is doing well right now, because it beats Kai'Sa, it beats a lot of other decks. Like, it can do... Like, it really only loses to decks that have a lot of healing. Now, to be fair, now the meta is shifting to have a lot more healing, because as people are trying to adjust to fight against the monkey decks, the way to beat them is to just play Shadow Isles and play Wells. So you might run into a little bit more Shadow Isles decks now that Monkey become popular. But in the last 7 days, this deck still has been one of the highest win rate decks, and I figure it makes sense to show them. Now, I am playing straight up the classic version. We're not playing Gwen in this deck. I feel like it's a little bit less consistent, and it's really a 4 mana just for Doom Beast. I don't think it's that valuable. So we just want to go full-on classic Spider Aggro. So it's literally the same exact 39 cards for almost everybody, except for the last card. So obviously you have 4 different 1-drops. That means that you're able to just get a lot of... guarantee that you almost get a 1-drop on your first turn almost every time. Sometimes you can get 2 or 3, creating for a really crazy open attack. Then you have your Arachnid Horror because of the Fearsome, your Elise, your House Spiders that are able to potentially level up the Elise, right? Your Demolitionist for some burn, Doom Beast for some burn, Skittler to kind of synergize with your Precious Pet, Horror, Elise, House Spiders, etc. It's just so good in this deck. And then we go to our burn, right? So we go to the Triple Fervor, Triple Decimate, 3 Stuck in Shadows because the deck can run out of resources very quickly, and this kind of keeps you in the game, and it's really good if you hit either the Skittler or the Doom Beast. Both really good at that. And then my 40 card for choice is Brothers Bond. Allows you to get even the little spiderlings to become really, really big. A lot of people can choose other stuff in this deck. There's a lot of things that you can put as a 40th card. Really, for the most part, this exact list of 40 tends to be what you see with the most often. I guess instead of Brother Bond, you could go ahead and play one Gwen, for example. That might be a little bit better than Brothers Bond in a lot of cases. But yeah, I think Classic is the best way to do this deck, and this deck is still very, very strong. So I don't need to explain this a lot too much. Just go ahead, attack early on with your units, draw your burn later, and win the game that way. And just overwhelm them with how much damage you can do. So enjoy the games coming up soon. And as always, if you like the content, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to us. We post LOR videos every single day. I'll see you all at the other video for some mulligan tips. In this matchup, we'll be going up against monkeys, and the opponent has way too many blockers for us, so I don't think this matchup is going to be too great. Do we end up getting a lot of burn? I'm trying to think though. I feel like we need to go for like an early game approach though. I feel like we need to go for an early game approach where we just get a bunch of units. I think I'm going to start with the rear guard. That way we don't get punished by a Teemo or a Parley, right? So the rear guard is better because the opponent cannot block this, and there we go. But they get Teemo on turn 1. So it always makes sense to start with the rear guard first. We can do the House Spider second. I don't want to do the Demolitionist yet, so that we don't put too much damage on this guy and then have it lose to a Make It Rain. The monkeys are nice, using a blocker, but they're not nice. They can't block our Fearsomes, right? So we can go Horror and Precious Pet. And should be in a decent spot. I'm going to pretend that the opponent cannot get Make It Rain. And I think we attack with everything, forcing the opponent to block with the Teemo again or taking so much damage. He could have Pokey Stick, I guess. Oh, he hit the Make It Rain on the spider, but didn't hit it on the other spider. But this sets this up to die to a Twisted Fate now. One is down to 11. We only have 7 damage in our hand. Opponent gets to get our burn. I would go for a Decimate if I was them. I played this matchup on the other side before, and if you go for their Decimate, the Spider player has very hard time winning. Because then you just start burning them down over and over again. Now the opponent knows that what a whole hand is. So that's really the value that they get. They got a little bit lucky with a Make It Rain, right? It could have not hit the spider and they would have been down to 9. Which would have been very bad for them. Sure. But it still knows my whole hand. I'm guessing they have Twisted Fate right here. So that's why I'm kind of playing it slow. Oh, wow. No Twisted Fate. No Twisted Fate? Because the opponent is always blocking this one. So I think it's correct to put it on this guy. A second Make It Rain could be a punish. Opponent went for the Saboteur instead of going for the Decimate. So I'm going to just bank on the opponent not having a second Make It Rain. I'm obviously going to open attack because of the Twisted Fate, right? So, once again, there you have it. If you have the Make It Rain, you have to hit it on all the right targets. Second Pokey Stick, I guess. Does he hit the perfect Make It Rain again? Doesn't. Oh wow, he lives at 1. So he does hit it almost perfectly. Why does he not hit? Like, why does he never hit the targets that are not there, right? Let's just do the Decimate right now so that the opponent is at 1 HP. Meaning that they can die to almost a lot of our top decks. Nope, because they get our Doom Beast. They still die to the Fervor though, right? But what are the chances that they get exactly our Doom Beast? Come on, and we also hit the Elise, which triggers the Plunder, which gives them a Fearsome. Wow. Wow. So you see the Fervor. So we either go for the Fervor or a second Decimate. I can't believe they nabbed that Doom Beast. I can't believe they nabbed that Doom Beast. I think they have Twisted Fate in their hand. I think they have Twisted Fate in their hand. They could also have the Pandemonium here. Which means that we go down to 1 HP. Actually, no, we go down to 2. So if they have the Pandemonium, they get to push 4 more damage, and then we go down to 2. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I want the opponent to use that Twisted Fate. I really want the opponent to use that Twisted Fate. Because this is lethal right here. Yeah, there it is. So now we can summon the Onlooker. And if opponent has another Make It Rain, then we get punished. Opponent only has 1 Fearsome blocker. Has only 3 blockers. So if he has a third Make It Rain, or the second Pokey, or the third Pokey Stick, right? Oh no, sorry, the second Pokey Stick, then it will be enough. That's still not enough because of the 2 Fearsome blockers. They could have the Parley, I guess, right? That might be, yeah, they didn't get it. So we have the 2 Fearsomes. I was waiting until he tapped out a Twisted Fate before we did the Onlooker, obviously. So there you go. We got there, even with the opponent nabbing our Doom Beast. So GG's. In this matchup, we'll be going up against Kindred Shen with Ionia and Shadow Isles, meaning that this game is gonna be a little bit awkward. Trying to see a hard time here how we win, right? Opponent kept 3 cards, so they could easily have access to like Wells and Biofeast, etc. All of which are big punishes. Because they're playing Ionia and Shen, they probably also have access to Spirit's Refuge, meaning that they'll be able to heal up anytime they want to. Now, we do have Fervor to stop the Spirit's Refuge target. Just to know if that's going to be enough, right? Opponent could have the 2-drop here. Then that means they're sacrificing their whole board. Okay, I'm willing to attack with everything. There's no way they take these 6, right? Wow, they must be really confident on the amount of heal that they have then. Yeah, that tells me they're really confident in the amount of heal that they have. Which makes sense. If you have the Spirit's Refuge, it ends up being a ton of heal.
2 worlds, 1 balance.
This is good because this gives him blockers from now on. That's gonna get a barrier, and if he has a Kinku, if he has the Key Guardian, I think he did it. He would need to have a second one now, right? Wait, I'm always blocking this, and now you lose your best source of Spirit's Refuge. Wait, what? What was that attack? I really like this. I really like this. I really like this because he kills everything except whatever he summons next, right? I guess he still gets a blocker for the Saboteur. So if we open... I think it has to be the open, right? Because if we open, we stop him from getting like Shen value, because then this still becomes a blocker for this, even if we do the Skittler, right? And then he will have Shen. Yeah, so that's the second Key Guardian, so he did draw it. So he gets value here. Well, he's gonna go for this when he's dead, so he's gonna get punished by this Skittler. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what's going on with this game. I have no idea what's going on. How is the opponent at 7? He gets a lot of blockers though. That's kind of annoying. I like the fact that we have a lot of fearsomes. Especially with the Skittler. It's gonna be really good, right? Oh. Oh no. So, Decimate, Skittler, Fervor.
I'm ready, little lamb.
379. We get rid of all the fearsome blockers except for Kindred. Opponent will have to have access. Opponent will have to atrocity doesn't kill us, right? We want to have access to Fervor. So unfortunately, we cannot play any of our other units. This gets rid of all his blockers except for Kindred. As I say that, he draws more of it. But that means that he just tapped out, right? So this is still 3. This is still 3. This is still 3. The opponent will have to have this, the Spiderling. And no, and that way this way he also loses all his stuff. We could have just gone for the Fervor plays, but I don't know if that's correct, right? Opponent has to block with everything. We still keep 2 units alive, unless he's Biofeast. Then he actually does kill everything. But if he goes this way, he gets the health pot. Gets the health pot. We still keep the Spiderling. Meaning that we can, well, no, we keep the Elise. We keep the Elise, so we can go Fervor. Oh. Opponent has access to 7 mana. Because the Spiderling will die to the Kindred. But they lose all their attackers. Doesn't matter which way you block it, my friend. You still always lose the Kinku student, and you still always go down to 1 there. Okay, well, it's gonna be double Fervor or bust, right? It's gonna have to be double Fervor or bust. I guess we don't have to rush it, right? I guess we don't have to rush it. We can see what he does first. Yeah. So now we Fervor, meaning that we deny his heal. And even if the opponent has Biofeast, it's still fine. So we deny his heal right here and win the game. Yeah, we didn't need to rush it. We could just sacrifice our Elise right there. I have no idea how we won that. That should be a matchup that we always lose because of that Spirit's Refuge. But the opponent threw away their Green Caretaker on turn 2 when they attack. Or turn 3, sorry, when they attack with it. Which means that they lost their best source for the Spirit's Refuge. So GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against Kai'Sa, which is supposed to be a very good matchup for us, right? Because we're able to just aggro them down very fast. Let's see how true that is, right? This is a good hand. I like the Onlooker a lot, to be honest, for our turn 4 attack. Because there's not a lot of blockers that he's going to have. Oh, wow. Okay, so actually, now we like the Onlooker because of the turn 2 attack with the rearguard Onlooker. Huh. Huh. Wow. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to go rearguard because that way the boiling cannot really do anything. The only downside... Here's the lurk. Here's the lurk, but it's... I guess the lurk is enough to block the rearguard, but it's not enough to block the Onlooker. Wow. Is it ever Elise instead? Is it ever the Elise instead, with us knowing that the opponent has a way to block this? And then we just get the Onlookers on our next turn. No, I like the value here. I like the Onlooker right here. So I like the double rearguard. Onlooker. This is gonna push at least 7 unless the opponent sacrifices their boiling. So opponent will have to sacrifice their boiling right here, otherwise they're taking 7. And if they're taking 7, I'm very happy with this. Okay. Next time we can do Elise and Precious Pet and then see what we get for turn 4. Obviously the downside is that if we do both, we might not have a way to activate this. So now that we drew this, I think we cannot go for the Precious Pet here as well. We have to go Elise first. Sure. So opponent cannot even attack here now. The downside here is, yeah, so they will be able to trigger their boiling. So that's why they kept it alive, right? Because now they have good blockers here. They have good blockers here for all our units. I think I'm okay with this. I think I'm okay with this. At this point, it's not that much more damage that we need, and we have a way to refill our hand. They're gonna have to block the Onlooker. We still have enough mana for the Fervor. It just sucks that they have so many good blockers for all our units, right? It just really sucks that they have so many good blockers for all our units. So, ironically, now I feel like this is the only one I can attack, right? Opponent got there. Opponent got there because of the Voilings. So having double Voiling and having double Valor just gives them so much value. And then next turn they're gonna have... Next turn they're gonna also have the Kai'Sa. Like 100% they also have the Kai'Sa next turn. So there's really almost no way for us to win this game anymore. That's why I'm attacking everything, because everything is gonna get deleted by the Kai'Sa regardless. So there's no reason to like play it safe. If he gets greedy and doesn't block with Valor, yeah, I was gonna say if he didn't block with Valor, then that would have been a problem. So next an opponent goes for the Kai'Sa. We're gonna save the Stalking Shadows in case that we draw a Doom Beast. Opponent's at 12. We have 3. We need 9 more. Double Stalking Shadows, multiple Doom Beasts, multiple Skittler could potentially get us there. Third Valor. Wow. Huh. House Spider is good, right? Opponent doesn't have any good blockers for House Spiders. Allows me to go wide. Sure. So allows me to go wide. We have double Fervor. We get the Demolitionist. We go here. Second Demolitionist. So this is 2, 4, 7, 10. We need to just push 2 more damage. We need to push just 2 more damage.
I told you to leave and leave all these wasters to you? No way.
So we need to push 2 more damage. Is it ever better to do the House Spider first? I think it's better to go like this, right? We'll have the House Spiders. The problem is if the opponent gets Kai'Sa, right? If the opponent gets Kai'Sa, we're in trouble. We need to push 2 more damage, but the opponent's never letting that happen. And then the double Fervors are gonna be a little bit awkward. Opponent could also have Concerted Strike, which could be a problem. If the opponent gets greedy, then they lose to the Fervors. Yeah, you have to block everything. You have to block everything. You cannot get greedy. We only got to push 1 damage. So we still one off even with the double fervor. We will have to top deck the decimate, but we put the opponent pretty far behind. Unless they have exactly Kai'Sa or Rider Colin. So we just gotta assume that they don't have it. The Void Blaster is pushing 6, potentially pushing less. Not enough. Ah, he gets the Kai'Sa. He gets the Kai'Sa. He's able to give Overwhelm. Which means that they're okay then? Ooh. Because the Overwhelm is... Okay, so he's only going to have 3 keywords though. So this is 3, 6. 8, 10. We have 1 mana off from being able to do everything. We have to do the Elise, I think. We have to do the Elise, I think. Because the Elise becomes a decent blocker. Doombeast would have been really good here too. So I have to do the Elise because obviously the Kai'Sa skill is going to be able to... So the Kai'Sa skill is dealing... Oh man, but if he has... So the Kai'Sa skill is going to be dealing 3. So it's going to deal 1, 1, 1, right? We could do the House Spider here as well. And just have blockers for days. And then just do Fervor, I guess. That way the Elise can actually stay alive. So the Elise, but the problem is that the Elise needs to block, right? So the Elise needs to block. Well, I guess the Elise doesn't need to block. I guess we can just block. But then we lose to the sharp side. We always lose to the Cataclysm. So for us to not lose to the Cataclysm, we have to go here. So for us to not lose to the Cataclysm, we have to go here. And then we're winning if we top deck the Decimate. So this means we win if we top deck Decimate. Our opponent doesn't have a target for Cataclysm. So we don't lose to the sharp side, we don't lose to the Cataclysm. We win with a top deck Decimate. Or... Man, but the Cataclysm still beats us, right? In a lot of cases. And that's the top deck. We play for our outs. Opponent never gets Rider Negation. Opponent never gets Rider Negation. We play for our outs, right? Ah, he had it. We play for our outs. I mean, it is what it is, right? Opponent just ended up getting older units early and evolving way too early, right? With the triple Valor, that we never had a chance to actually beat it. Yeah, the Fervors ended up being a little bit unfortunate, because all we needed to push was that 2 damage the other time. I wonder if he had to be the House Spider. No, if we play the House Spider instead of the other card, we had also lost anyways, right? So, GG's. In this matchup, we'll be going up against Ahri Bard. I think we might be able to go faster than them. With Elise and Rearguard and Skittler. The Rearguard gets punished by a turn 1 bird, while the Precious Pet does not. So maybe we go Precious Pet and Elise instead, and save the Rearguard for later. This also lets us potentially level up Elise if we top the House Spider. Kinda like it. Oh, Dancing Droplet? Okay, so if it's gonna be Dancing Droplet, then I'm gonna go with the Rearguard. So that means no turn 1 bird. So opponent's gonna have a hard time blocking this Rearguard. We can go for the Elise here. And then we can settle the Precious Pet Demolitionist into a Skittler on turn 4. If we draw another 1-drop, that'd be clutch. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Opponent doesn't really have a good blocker because the Droplet cannot block, right? I guess he can kill the little spider, right? But this still, he gives up his block right here. Loses the unit. Does have the little spider here. We only push 2. That's a good draw. That was a good draw. Still has the Droplet. Oh, there we go. This is exactly what I was talking about, right? Because now we can go Demolitionist, Saboteur, Precious Pet, Skittler, and opponent's gonna have a very bad day.
They don't break, they'll burn.
Very bad day.
The few for the many.
Okay.
No one's the wiser.
He's gonna okay, I thought we were gonna buff that one up. Okay, so he's trying to make it so that this becomes a good blocker. Opponent decided to keep the Morn back because they know they need to block. So Precious Pet. Skittler. We don't get value from the Elise, but it's okay because opponent has good blockers for the Elise anyways, for the Elise Spider lane. If opponent has something like Homecoming, that could be a problem. Yeah, okay, there we go. So, bye-bye Fearsome blocker. We get to push 9 damage. We're gonna attack here. Everywhere? Yeah, we're gonna attack everywhere. Opponent only has really one good block, and it's with Bard. I guess he has a good block here. What am I kidding? But this is still pushing 10 damage. We have 2 over here. So now we just need a Decimate or enough damage here. We could also get like the House Spiders, which would let us level up the Elise, because opponent couldn't do anything about our Fearsomes. Or we could just get the Sentry. The Horror, sorry. That works too. That works too. Let's go here first. Let's go here first. I want to have a blocker for that bar, because this card is not gonna do anything, right? Or maybe we don't. Maybe we don't need a blocker for bar anymore. As well, just take the damage. Let's go here, because this card is gonna get blocked by the Highwayman anyways. But at least this way we're pushing a lot more damage. You shouldn't have a way to stop this level up Elise, and we have a way to pull the Fearsomes away, and the Fearsome blockers away, and just push the damage to the Elise. I guess the opponent could have access to Twin. It was pretty smart then to actually go for the Navaria Conspirator here. We could high roll into the Skittler, so let's actually start with the Stalking Shadows before we do anything else. Because if we get another Skittler, we're able to remove all his Fearsome blockers. Not a Skittler, but... Ooh. Ooh. I like the Demolitionist. It's 4 burn, right? It's 4 burn. Let's go here, here. We're pushing 7 here. Opponent needs to have at least 1 twin to block the Elise, and then they still go down to 4. So Homecoming. Homecoming. So they still get hit by 3, which is why we did it that way, and then the Demolition is finished up the game. Even if opponent has a second Homecoming, it's never enough. So second Homecoming is never enough. Second Tailstones is never enough because, you know, they heal to 4 and we have 2 Demolitionists to do the last 4 damage. So yeah, Demolitionist ended up being the great pick there, so GG's. So in this matchup, we'll be going up against the famous Gwen Udyr deck that Metal piloted to the finals of the Master Runeterra tournament. Now, Gwen would be really annoying here. I'm trying to remember Metal's list, but I can't remember from the top of my head if they were running any heals aside from like Tavern Keeper potentially. I don't know. I don't know if he actually made it through with the Tavern Keeper. I think he might have had Battle Feast though for sure. Let's go Rearguard. Usually doesn't have any wound-ups except for the Omen Hawk. So Rearguard is pushing more damage than the Precious Pet is. Then we can go Elise and just attack with everything again. They probably shouldn't have a Fearsome blocker here. Oops. Wow. Huh. Oh, Phantom Butler. That's not fun. You know what? I'm gonna go wide. Because he shouldn't have enough mana to actually stop this, right? So, but the Sentry's kind of funny now. I'm gonna go Precious Pet first, see what he does, and then I'll see which one I decide to go with. Battle Feast? Battle Feast? Yeah, that's a Battle Feast. So if that's the case, this is pushing 3. This is really good. This is gonna get blocked by this Darling, but that's gonna block. I think we're gonna go wide. I think we're gonna go wide. That way, if the opponent's gonna decide to block this here, right? And if the opponent decides to get a favorable trade with the Spiderling, then that means they're taking more damage. Yeah, so oh, that's great. That means you take a little bit more damage, and that's completely fine with me. We have a way to refill our hand a little bit with the Stalking Shadows, so that's pretty good for us too. The downside here is that if the opponent has the Gwen here on turn 4, then they get to heal back up to 14. And that's when it gets really annoying. Gwen becomes really annoying to deal with for us. We will have to get this the Skittler, right? I guess opponent could go for like a Troll Shen here. It will save him his blockers. Yeah, there you go. But he decided not to save his both blockers. He decided to just save one of them and save 2 damage instead. So that's pretty smart. I guess the Troll Shen is pretty good. This is bad matchup, right? The Battle Feast just ends up being so bad for us. But we high rolled the second elusive with the value right here, and we should be okay. It sucks that the opponent is healing 2, but it is what it is. We can go here. I actually think it's worth it to sacrifice Elise into the Gwen, to be honest. Because we can also kill this guy. I wonder if there's any value that we get from doing the Stalking Shadows here. Is there any unit that we could get that could be valuable? The Onlooker? I don't hate it. Obviously, the punish here is going to be Udyr, right? But it lets me push so much more damage if I go ahead and summon this now. So Udyr here, opponent could have the 2 weapons, right? We can drag almost everything else that the opponent might have. Not the weapons. He could have the wow. Really? Like, I'm gonna kill your Gwen. I'm gonna kill your Gwen because I don't want you to heal. It's a consideration that we push more damage though if we go here instead, and that way we keep our Elise alive. But that Gwen being on the field really scares me. Maybe it's correct. Maybe it's correct to do it the other way. Just that way we don't lose to. That way we don't lose to like a Troll Shen. Sure. Let's go this way. Let's push the most damage. Let's push the most damage. The most damage here. This could get punished by a Battle Feast, but that way we still push 4, 7, 10. And the opponent still dies, I guess, to the double decimate, but that's what I thought he had. That's what I thought he was gonna do that right away. Like he was gonna do the stance swap. I guess it didn't make sense. We have a blocker for the Phantom Butler. Opponent could go for the Overwhelm right here, technically. But that wouldn't be enough, right? We have blockers for everything that the opponent has here. The stance swap doesn't matter, and this is now lethal. So now this is lethal with that, and yeah. That it was better to do this than do the Fervor, because obviously Vengeance is something that they play that I need to be careful about. So almost overthought it a little bit with the Elise drag, but it ended up working out, so GG's. In this matchup, we'll be going up against Thralls, which is an interesting matchup, right? The Rabbins and the Tavern Keepers end up just putting too much value. So we have to try to go early, and this is not the early hand that we want. This is not the early hand that we want. Now, a lot of them are not playing Avalanche, but a lot of them also are. So it's like 50-50 whether they have Avalanche or not, which makes this Skittler really hard, right? Oh, we needed like more 1-drops. We needed more 1-drops and just go shoot our shot right away on turn 2. We did get another one, so that's actually good. Potentially we get another 1-drop right here. We just need to push as much damage as possible before the opponent can do like Rabbins and stuff like that. We don't get there. If opponent has the Harbinger, he can block one of these guys, one of these 2 units. If they don't have the Harbinger, it's okay. They do. The block here, we still push 3. Now if they get the Rabbin or Tavern Keeper or anything like that, they're still in a very good spot. Avalanche is the problem. Oh, too late. Too late, right? Way too late. Way too late. I needed that way before. Alright, you know, they never have Avalanche. They never have Avalanche. So they never have Avalanche. So I'm gonna pretend that's not real. So we're gonna go here first.
For the Empire.
And then we're gonna go double one drop. And if they have the avalanche, they have it. If they have the avalanche, we're always losing, right? So it doesn't make any sense to me to play around it. Like at this point, we just gotta go all in before they have enough mana for Sands of Times on our next attack turn. Because the Sands of Times also completely stops our attack. So we need to just push as much damage as we can right now. Because once the opponent gets access to Sands of Times, the game is over. I feel like if you have avalanche, you have to do it right now. Alright.
I have my orders.
I'm gonna pretend you don't have avalanche. I'm gonna pretend you don't have avalanche. Like if you wanna play it slow, that's okay. There is a lot of damage, and then again we start finishing up with the burn with the Doom Beast. Problem is that we won. Okay, wow. It's probably gonna be Rabin then, right? So it's probably gonna be Rabin. Clears our whole board. Opponent goes up to 7. Still vulnerable to a Decimate plus a Fervor. So here comes the first Rabin. It has to be Rabin, right? Wow, no Rabin either. So no Rabin, no Avalanche? That can't be right. I'm willing to pass if the opponent passes here. Because we have a pretty good open attack with all the Fearsomes and the Saboteur, right? Opponent decided not to even kill the Saboteur last turn. Oh, they top decked it now. That feels bad. That actually feels so bad for them. Oh, they top decked it a little bit too late. Kind of like the Saboteur. This puts it down to 3. Each of the Saboteurs is going to do 1 damage. Right?
The cold creeps in.
If opponent tries to go for Rabin right now, that's okay with me. What if we just kill this? But opponent could have the freeze, right? And if they have the freeze, if they have the freeze, it's going to be a Sentin later, right? Let's just kill this right now. If they have a second Lysandra, they could have always used the second Lysandra next turn anyways. Fervor or Decimate wins us the game as well. We really dodged the bullet that the opponent top deck that Avalanche a turn too late. This is 2 damage. We just need 1 more. Need 1 more. That's good for us, actually.
A dark cloud looms on the
So opponent's trying to somehow level up Liz, but again, I don't think they're able to, right? I don't think it's the Decimate. I don't think it's the Decimate. I think it's the Saboteur first. Because the Decimate gets punished by a Rider Negation. If the opponent taps out a Rider Negation, then we can go for it. This is threatening also the Fervor. We still have access. Yeah, this is... Ooh. Ooh. Wow. I don't like that. I don't like that GG. I'm gonna go Precious Bet. I'm gonna go Precious Bet. I'm gonna go Precious Bet because now this is actually lethal if the opponent doesn't have anything, right? You know what? They would have needed to top deck. They would have needed to top deck the second Avalanche. So I'm gonna go all in. That way the opponent has a Rabin. It's not enough, right? This could be a punish though, because now they could have the big attack. But I want to push as much damage as possible so that my Decimate can kill even through the Lysandra level up. Okay, woof. I feel like I was getting baited. I feel like I was getting baited, but I don't know by what. Like, what could they possibly have in their hand? It had to be Rider Negation then, right? But because we didn't play the Decimate, they didn't have a way to actually use it. So, GG's. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed those games. Nothing like some classic spiders every now and then. We kind of, you know, we took it super hard yesterday with Aphelios Gwen. So we wanted to go with something easier to play, right? Aphelios Gwen, I think, is a very hard deck, and Elise Spiders is a lot simpler to pick up and really cheap to build if you're a new player. It's one of the first decks I recommend people to play because it's still very good. It still does very well, especially in low elo in the meta. I just wouldn't recommend playing it if you start running into a lot of like Shadow Isles, right? This deck is really good if you're not running into a lot of a lot of control and Shadow Isles deck. In terms of mulligan, it's really simple, right? You want to usually get your burn later. As the same thing with Stalking Shadow, so you want to kick all your burn out. I actually don't mind kicking my 3-drops out as well, and the Demolitionist as well. You want to just mulligan for your 1-drops. Go for your Rearguard, Saboteur, Precious Pet, and Onlooker, so that you can start pushing a lot of damage on turn 1 and turn 2. You obviously keep Elise as well, because she's a really good attacker on turn 2, and same thing with the Horror. So really just go for all your early units, including Elise and Horror, and then try to draw into the rest, into your burn, into your reach later into the game as he goes on. And that's as simple as that. You just 1-drops, attack, and then you're gonna burn. And that's how you kind of win with this deck. Remember, play around those healing cards. Play around like Yusol's playing around the Spirit's Refuge, right? In that Kai'Sa Shen game, we kept that Fervor exactly for that. You gotta play around that stuff, right? If you know that the opponent's playing heals, whether it's Waiting Guardian, whether it is like Shen Bar or decks like that has Spirit's Refuge, the Fervor tends to be really good because it negates that lifesteal unless the opponent has also Overrun. But so just keep that in mind. That Fervor can be very useful at negating all of that lifesteal. But enough about that. The deck is pretty straightforward, so I hope you all enjoy it as well. If you're looking to climb, really good, easy to climb with this deck. If you like the content, please make sure to like the video below and subscribe to us. We post LR videos every single day. You can also find us on Twitch Sirturmund. We stream 3 to 4 times a week. And you can also find us on Discord and Twitter. The links to those are both in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.